Hi, I'm Emily and this is Made on Mill. In today's video, I will be showing you how to take thrifted yarn and making these beautiful romantic scrunchies. I have a full blog post with the written pattern for the scrunchies for both the wider and more narrow version on my website, and I will link that below for you. So the pattern of these scrunchies was heavily designed based on the pattern I created for my romantic crochet hair bows. If you haven't seen that video or checked out that blog post, I will link those below for you. So it's the same pattern essentially, but we're working in the round because we're working around a hair elastic instead of working in a row. These scrunchies make a really good DIY gift idea if you're looking to make something handmade this holiday season, and they should only take you about 30 minutes to make. Now I have two versions. I have what I'm calling the wider version and then a narrower version. So for context, this is the wider version and then the more narrow one here. Now you can use either weight 2 or weight 3 yarn, and depending on which yarn you choose will also influence the size, the final size of your scrunchie yarn. You will need a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook and hair elastics. If you may or may not know, on my channel I work primarily with secondhand material or things I find at the thrift store, as well as sustainably sourced material. And so I found this pack of hair elastics at the thrift store. Yeah, I have quite a few of them. So I have been putting them on the back of the romantic crochet hair bows that I have created, as well as I am using them as the base for these scrunchies. So as you can see here, that elastic is in the center of our scrunchie and we simply work right around it. So that's what you'll need for this project. Let's get started. So just to give you context, this is a scrunchie made with a weight 3 yarn, and it's my wider version, whereas this is the wider version as well, but it's made with a weight number 2 yarn. And so you can see there how it's a little bit smaller. So just be aware of that when you're selecting your yarn sizes. And then for comparison, this is our weight 2, and this is a weight 2 as well, but the narrow version of the pattern. So again, you can see how much smaller it is. I think these would look really awesome as a layering piece on your wrist or your hair if you were to do different colors or different sizes like I have here. The composition doesn't matter and the weight doesn't matter too much, but I wouldn't go below a weight 2 or above a weight 3 yarn. You may want to consider coordinating colors together if you are putting this together in like a pack for a gift. We will start with a slip knot on our hook. Now this is a weight 3 yarn, so just keep that in mind as I'm making this, as the scrunchie will turn out a little bit larger than say a weight 2, and I will be making the wider version here so you can understand the full pattern. Both the wider and the narrow version are started the same way, except we just add a few more rows onto the wider version. You will start with a scrunchie and you will work single crochets around this. So this pattern is worked as a multiple of 3, so you can certainly change the starting number of single crochets that you make. That won't matter, but for this one I will be starting with 45, and that is what I have done with all of the other ones here. So you'll bring your hook under the elastic, pull up a loop like you're making a single crochet, and then finish that off. So that's our initial stitch. It's like a floating single crochet, and then you just continue working those around. So I'll show you that again. Put your hook under the elastic as if you were putting it into a stitch, pull up a loop and finish your single crochet. So that is how those single crochets are made around the band, and you will continue working 45 single crochets around the elastic. I've just worked my 44th single crochet, so I need to work one more. And I want to show you that you can start working over your tail at the end. Just make sure you're not losing that first single crochet that you made there. So I'll work my 44th or 45th stitch crochet or single crochet there. So at this point, you can wait till the end to weave in the tail. This is not sufficient enough to cut it at this point, so you will need to weave it in further. Okay, but to finish this round, we will slip stitch in that first single crochet that we made. And that's round 1 finished. For round 2, in each subsequent row, we will not turn at all, but we will start with a chain 1. Right? So we did slip stitch in that first single crochet of round 1, so we will also need to work into that single crochet. So to start round 2, we will work 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So I've worked 2 in that first single crochet that we slip stitched into, and then I will work 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So you should have a total of 90 stitches. And the purpose of this round here is to really start creating the rippled look that you're going to achieve. Since we are working in a circular manner, we do need to add additional stitches to account for an increasing circumference size each row that we add. So by adding this row, round 2, where we are doubling up, that provides sufficient additional circumference so we can grow the scrunchie outwards without it pulling in on itself. So I will continue working 2 single crochets in each stitch around, and I will meet you at the end of this round. So I just realized I wasn't filming, but I finished round 2 there. I worked my 2 final single crochets, and then I slip stitched into the first single crochet that I had made in round 2. And I'm just weaving in this end here since I find it a little bit distracting when I'm trying to teach a pattern, and especially on such a small piece. So you just want to make sure you weave that in really well, since these will be pulled and stretched quite a bit. So you really want to make sure that those tails are nice and secure. So we'll go ahead and trim that, and then that's out of our way for the rest of this video. Okay, let's move on to round 3. So again, we aren't going to turn, but we will chain to start. So starting in the same stitch that we slip stitch into, we will work 1 half double crochet. This will be followed by a chain 1, and then we will skip the next stitch. In the stitch following that, we will work a half double crochet. Then we will work another half double crochet in the next stitch. Then we will chain 1, skip a stitch, and work 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So now you will just repeat this around. Chain 1, skip a stitch, work 2 half double crochets. Chain 1, skip a stitch, working 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and so forth. So you will go ahead and repeat this around. When we get to the end, I will show you how to finish it. All right, to finish up around 3 here, I have worked 2 half double crochets. Now I will chain 1, I will skip 1 stitch, and in the final stitch, I will work a half double crochet. Then we will slip stitch into the top of the first half double crochet that we made, and chain 1. Now let's move on to round 4. So starting in the same stitch that we slip stitched into, we will work 1 single crochet. And in the chain space, we'll work 1 single crochet. Now, we need to work 2 single crochets over this section here. I like to work both of them in the first stitch because I find it easier to find than this one over here. So that's how I have designed the pattern, and then 1 single crochet in the chain space. So let's go over that again. 2 single crochets in the first half double crochet space, then a single crochet in the chain space. Repeat, 2 single crochets in the first space here, followed by 1 single crochet in the chain space. Again, 2 single crochets in that first half double crochet space, followed by a single crochet in the chain space, and you'll repeat that around. Approaching the end of round 4, we will work a single crochet in that last chain space and then 1 last single crochet in the last stitch of that round, and then we will slip stitch into the top of the first single crochet that we had made. So at this point, if you are making the narrow version, you will stop here, don't fasten off, but you will jump to the looped border portion. And so what that is the looped border here that we create. I'm going to show you it very quickly, but I will be moving on to showing you the wider version. So just hold tight here. So if you're making the narrow version, at this point you will chain 3 and slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 3, slip stitch into the next stitch, and so forth. And so you will repeat this all the way around, slip stitching into the final stitch, fastening off at that point. Now, if you are making the wider version, we'll back up here and continue with the pattern. So moving on to round 5, if you are doing the wider version, you will start by chaining 1. And remember, you need to work in that stitch that we slip stitch into. So you'll work 1 single crochet there. Then you will continue to work 1 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 90 single crochets. And that's all there is to this round. At the end of round 5, you will slip stitch into the top of the first stitch that you made there. Now for round 6 and 7, we will repeat round 3 and round 4 respectively. So let's go over that. Let's chain 1, working in the same stitch that we worked. Or slip stitch into, we will work 1 half double crochet, followed by chain 1, skipping a stitch, followed by 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Chain 1, skip a stitch, work 1 half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. And so you will repeat this around, and I will meet you at the end. All right, we are wrapping up round 6, which was the same as round 3, and we will slip stitch in the top of that first half double crochet. I want to mention that if at the end of your round there isn't the number of stitches left that you are expecting, that's totally fine for this. You can just kind of double them up or skip stitches as needed. I know when I was a beginner crocheter, this would happen to me a lot and it became stressful, but this pattern is very, very forgiving. So don't worry if you get to the end and you're like, oh, I should have 1 stitch or I should have 3 stitches left and I don't. Just double them up, work in the same stitch, or skip some stitches. It will be completely fine because these are quite textured and ripply. You will never notice. You can also not tell where the seam is. I mean, I probably could try to find it. Yeah, it looks like it's there. Anyway, but you can't really see it unless you're looking for it. So don't stress if your stitches aren't working out. Okay, let's move on to round 7, which is the same as round 4. Chain 1, and this is a round of single crochets. So working in that same initial stitch, you'll chain or work a single crochet in the chain space, and then 2 single crochets in this first stitch here, followed by a single crochet, then 2 single crochets in the next space, and 1 single crochet in the chain space, right? So we repeat that around, and I'll meet you at the end. I've made my way back around, and I will slip stitch into that first single crochet that I made. Now it's time to make the looped border. So as I showed you before, it's very simple. You chain 3 and slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 3, slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 3, and work that slip stitch. Right, and that's how that looks. You continue that around, working the final one in the last slip stitch, and then you can fasten off. All right, let's finish this off here. Do our final chain 3 and work our final slip stitch. There we go. Now we can go ahead and fasten off and weave in those ends. This is a hairband and will be getting pulled and twisted quite a bit, so we want those ends to be nice and secure. These are washable technically. You can throw them in the wash, either in like a t-shirt or a pillowcase, or if you have like a washing bag, that's a good option just to keep it a little bit protected. But yeah, I definitely think that these can certainly be washed in the washing machine, and that's a great way to keep them clean if you're using a lot of hair product and they need to be washed now and then. This is how much yarn I have left. Today I started with a ball that was roughly, I want to say, either about these size balls that I started with, and we are left with this. So sorry, I don't have an exact measurement in terms of how much yarn you will need for this, but it's certainly not a lot, making this an excellent scrap busting project as well. I really encourage you though to look at your thrift store for yarns. These have all been found at the thrift store. All of these, I think they're great candidates for this project. So definitely take a look, because sometimes people will finish a larger project. They have a little bit of yarn left. They don't want to store it, so they donate it. Especially this one, like this is a cotton linen blend, which I'm sure bought new would be expensive, and it's just really high quality yarn. So that's a little tip on how to get high quality yarn for projects where you don't need a whole lot. All right, thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I hope it was helpful. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, I would really love it if you could give this video a like, leave a comment, share it with someone else who crochets, or consider subscribing. Please go ahead and go to the blog post as well if you prefer a written pattern. I have some more holiday content coming up, and DIY gift ideas and thrifted gift idea content as well. I hope you have a wonderful day.